Hello, Hosk here. Today's video is about security, the MB2 703 customization and configuration exam for CRM 2013, and this is the security exam Cram notes. So I've finally finished going through all the various parts of the security bits of the exam, and these will make up, I think, possibly 15%. So it says 10 to 15%, which is rather confusing. You'd think it would be either one or the other, but so now I'm just going to go through the exam Cram notes, which is basically taking the knowledge we've had of learning how it works and then kind of just bringing it down to just the decisive notes that you need to know about each of the security parts. Well, before I do that, I would say that on my blog, if you go to the link at the top, you will see a link to all the stuff I've gone through for the exam so far, and there is, of course, the YouTube channel, which has a good playlist for you to use, and the playlist is MB2 703. And that's got all the
is based on today's
videos
most
I've done so
modern
far
ERP
for
solution.
this. Right, but onwards now. I'm just going to read them out. There'll be a link to my page when it's released, probably soon, but at the same time, in fact. And the reason I'm reading it out is I'll probably add a little bit of extra explanation, and you can listen to it. So I myself will listen to myself, as I often have to do. Just so you can sort of listen to it whilst doing something else, which is useful. Right, so we'll start with, it's quite a large part. No wonder it's taken me so flipping long. But we'll start with business units. You know, this security will most definitely be on the exam. It'll have a big chunk. There's quite a lot to cover, so you really need to know all of it, really, just so that you don't lose any easy kind of tasks, any easy points. So, business units. When a business unit is disabled, all the users in the business unit cannot access CRM. So, from a user's point of view, that's quite significant. So, don't ever go disabling business units willy-nilly, because all the users assigned to that will be out of action. Users of a disabled business unit will still consume a CRM license. And this is because, although the user is sort of disabled, all the records are not, and they're still active. Right, to delete a business unit, you must remove all child business units and any users or teams linked to that business unit. So a bit like your kind of dependencies on deleting sort of normal components, you have to delete all the kind of references and links to it and make it sort of orphaned off before then you can delete it. And you have to disable it first. That's the next one. Each business unit has a default team of the same name. You cannot delete this team, you cannot rename it, but you can add users to it, and you can add security profiles, security roles to it. Equipment, facilities, and resource groups do not need to be removed from business units before you delete them. These aren't in total order, these things, so they're just kind of facts which I have come across whilst doing the studying. Business units can have separate security roles, even with the same name. So what this means is that you can have a kind of security role and two security roles in the same name, in the same business unit, one of them coming down from the parent business unit, and they can have different security roles attached to them, which can be extremely confusing. Disabling the business unit and disabling a business unit will disable all the child business units below that and all the users for all that business unit and the ones below it. The root business unit is called the default business unit, and it has the same name as the organization. You can rename this, but you cannot delete the business unit and you cannot disable the root business unit. So that's it. Whatever the name of your organization is, you'll have that, and you can't ever get rid of that one. But you can create a kind of tree below it, so you wouldn't, doesn't really matter. Business units are used to create a hierarchy, and this is a tree structure. The root business unit will always be at the top. None of the data is affected by disabling a business unit, only the users just cannot log in. The users are not disabled, they just cannot log into CRM whilst the business unit is disabled. As soon as the business unit is enabled, all the users will be able to log in again. That's actually an important point, that users don't get disabled, they just literally can't log in because they haven't got a business unit. Reparenting a business unit will have the effect of removing all the security roles from the users. This is because the security roles are inherited and can be different for each business unit. Yeah, so security roles filter down from the top, the root business unit, all the way down. So if you reparent it, it'll have different security roles coming down, and the security roles can be different. So it will just remove them all from all the users. That's can be quite a problem if you did that and you have a lot of users assigned in that business unit. You cannot delete the default business unit team, but this won't stop you deleting the business unit because it's deleted automatically when you delete the business unit. Basically, the default team for a business unit is it's controlled by CRM, and it will just look after that, and you can't really do anything with it apart from add users. So just don't worry about that. When you change a parent, yeah, did that one. Okay, users can log in if they're part of a disabled business unit. They can still log in if they have a team which has security roles. This will allow them to log in, but they won't be able to set any personal options. You can change the name of a business unit. You can change the name of the root business unit. Previously in CRM 4 you couldn't do that. Business units can be deleted. Yeah, we've done that one. Right, security roles and teams. If a user doesn't have a security role, he cannot access CRM. So he must have at least one security role to access the system. This is basically because you won't have any privileges to view any entities. So you just can't do anything. Security roles are linked with the business unit to calculate which records a user can see. A user must be linked to a business unit, and because that drives what security roles they get. Users receive their permissions to work on records or use features based on a combination of security roles they are assigned and the business unit to which they belong. So this is basically saying that each business unit can have different security roles, and so it's important what business unit you're at, because you can have completely different security roles based on the business unit you're in. Users can be assigned multiple security roles. This means it's possible to create security roles just for a single purpose. There are 15 default security roles in CRM out of the box. The default security roles are all created in the root business unit, and because they're in the root one, they filter down to all the ones below that. If you create a security role in the root business unit, then the security role will be copied to all the child business units below it. So what this sort of says also is that if you created a security role in a business unit below that, it'll only get copied to the child business units for that business unit. So that's why you can have completely different kind of security. If you do it like that, usually I just stick to putting everything in the root business unit. Users can only be assigned security roles which exist in their business units for the reasons above. Only security roles which exist in the root business unit can be added to a solution file. I mean, I've not ever seen anyone create security roles in individual business units, because it makes it extremely difficult and it's bad practice, I think. It's quicker to modify existing security roles than create new ones. That's true. I think I read there's something like 158, maybe more, 500 security privileges. And if you do a new one, you'll have to set them all up already. So the best method is get one which is nearest to what you want to, kind of privileges you want to achieve, copy it, and then amend it. All security roles are the same except the system administrator, which is a super role. The system administrator automatically has access to all records and all entities, including custom entities. It has default access level of organization. Basically, it can see everything and everywhere. At least one user must have the system administrator role. By default, this is given to the user who installed CRM, but you can remove that. If you add more users with that system administrator role, you can then remove it from that user. But when you get to the user with only one user left with the system administrator role, you won't be able to remove it. You must always have one who is a system administrator. Multiple users can be assigned the system administrator role. Yeah, I've just gone through that. The system administrator role is also given system admin field level security role, so it has access to all the field level security. Now you can copy the system administrator role, and it will basically create a snapshot of all the privileges that this system administrator role currently has, but then any new entities you add, it won't automatically kind of be updated and basically sort of having the special powers of the system administrator role. So it's only a snapshot. When assigned a security role to a user, the choice is filtered by business unit. Yeah, we'll come through that. Users can come through that. Teams have security roles. This can affect what form is used. There are some privileges which do not have organization levels. So you don't have user, business unit, organization. They just are either on or off, and they're like go offline, export to Excel, publish articles. You either have that security level or you don't. Right, manage user access teams. The security authentication in CRM there's nothing really done inside CRM. I sort of liken it to the Outlook email router does all of the kind of email functionality, and CRM does nothing. It kind of passes it off. Authentication is the same. Active Directory is most common on premise to do the authentication, but you can also have internet facing deployments, IFD, and you have ADFS or STS, and they will do the authentication. And basically, you authenticate the users, and then they get passed into CRM, and CRM only then really worries about what kind of security they've got inside CRM. Microsoft Online, you've got Microsoft Online Subscription Program, MSOP. I mean, I don't really know much about that, so just put it there as a little fact. A user can have one manager, which is a lookup field on the user record. So there is a manager, and I think mainly manager type field is used in routing, things like that. Functionality of manage users can be found by going to settings, administration, and you've got creating users, team security roles, assign, move to teams, assign security roles to teams and users. You've got disable business units, delete security roles, delete teams, move users between teams, and the manager. Users. You cannot delete users in CRM, you can only disable them. Yeah, that's a fact. May well pop up in the exam. Basically, this is so you can enable them again. It must be because something to do with the SQL database, I'd imagine. If you disable the user, he will not be able to log into CRM. A disabled user does not consume a CRM license. So you can have scenarios where you can sort of disable a bunch of users and then enable others, and sort of work around having less licenses if you sort of keep enabling and disabling certain users. The records assigned to a user are still active even when you have a disabled user. So the best practice really is to assign all that user's records to another user before you disable him, or after, in fact, doesn't really matter. Basically saying that you'll see the user name will be on as owner of records even if he is disabled. Users must always be assigned to a business unit and can only be assigned to one business unit at a time. Security roles and teams are additive. So what I'm saying here is that if you add a user to a team which only has one kind of security privilege, this won't remove any security roles from a user. Any security role or team security roles that are added to a user will only add to the existing one security sort of privileges he has. It will never remove any. So it kind of adds them all up to get the best or the highest level of security that you are allowed. Teams are optional. You don't have to create them, you don't have to use them. Nothing mandatory about them. There are two types of teams in CRM: access teams and owner teams. Owner teams are the kind of classic teams. They can own records. They can owner teams can be assigned security roles. Access teams, on the other hand, are the new feature in CRM 2013, and they cannot be assigned security roles, and they cannot own records. They're only using to share records. An owner team can be converted to an access team. An access team can be converted to an owner team. Each business unit creates a default team which you cannot delete, but you can add members to, and you can add security roles to, I think. Teams can be assigned security roles, teams and users can be their own records. Business units and default owner teams. Business units have team created automatically. These are the same name as the business unit. Any members created and assigned to the business unit will automatically be added to the default business unit team. This is a dynamic team. CRM looks after it. You can't really do anything with it. It can't be edited, but you can assign security roles. There we go. And you can add members. Excuse me. Business unit team cannot be reparented, deleted, or renamed. Its members cannot be modified. Oh, okay. There we go. Default teams can be. I think that's surely owner teams. I don't think that one's right. I'm going to delete it. Sharing. In CRM, you can share records between users and teams. Sharing gives the user being shared the same privileges as the individual record as the user who is sharing it. So basically, if you've got certain privileges to a record, you share your privileges of that user. Sharing bypasses business units, access level part of security. So basically, if you share a record, it doesn't matter what business unit you're in, you then can have access to that record. Sharing records to a team is like sharing the record with every single member of the team, except in the principal object table, it only has one entry, which is a bit more efficient than sharing it to individuals. Using the business unit default team, you can share records to all users in different business units, which is useful. You can share more than records. You can also share charts, views, and dashboards. Individual users can only share their personal views, charts, and dashboards. When a user shares the components, they also choose what privileges you want. So basically, when you're sharing records, these are the privileges that you can choose to sort of give to a user: read, write, delete, append, assign, and share. Reparenting user teams. So reparenting user teams business unit has a drastic effect on the security roles. It removes them all. So if you change a user or team as business unit, you'll need to assign the user or team some security roles in the new business unit. Basically, it's because you can't guarantee that the same security roles and the fact those security roles will have the same privileges between business units, so it basically has to just remove them all and let you do it again. So if you reparent the whole business unit, remember, users without security roles cannot log into CRM. If a user is reparented, they lose their security roles but won't be removed from any teams. An efficiency trick: if you want to remove all the security roles for a user or team, change their business unit, and this will basically blank them all out. Right, auditing, a nice short one. There's 3 levels of auditing: global, entity and field, and you need to turn them all on if you want auditing to work. Global first, then the entity, and then the field. Auditing is enabled in the system settings, and then there's a global, you turn it on globally, and then you sort of go into each entity and tick whether you want to do auditing. Any entity can be audited, custom or default. If auditing is not enabled at organization level, it doesn't matter if it's enabled at entity level, nothing will be audited. Audited logs are partitioned every 3 months. These can also be deleted at the audit log management screen, so you can go in there and get rid of them if you're not interested in having those. Users have to have the view audit history privilege if they want to be able to see the auditing for any records. When you turn on auditing for an entity, basically all the fields that are eligible are set to audit, and so you have to go in and turn any ones you don't want auditing. And I don't think field level security, I don't think they're audited either. Audited logs management is system job. I think goes in and sort of deletes it using dates. Some system fields are not applicable for auditing, so like created on, modified on, owning business unit, you can't audit those. Access teams and access team templates. So access teams are new functionality in 2013, so be on your toes. It more than likely will be a question on it. Access team templates are a method to share permission records. Basically, access teams are a quick way to share records amongst many users, and not only that, you kind of use a template. So maybe read and update, and then you can just use that template and share it amongst all the users you want, and you can quickly add and remove users using the subgrids on the record itself. Access teams can be ticked on and off on the entity, and it is on and offable, unlike queues or some other settings where once you tick it you can't actually go back. So to apply access teams, you need to actually go onto the form of the entity and add an access team template and a lookup subgrid on the form. You do that, records, all entity types, user default. Oh, there's some variables. When you add a user to a user grid, it will automatically create an access team, and this team will have a kind of GUID name that won't make any sense to you. You can view the access teams by doing an advanced find and choosing the teams of type access. You can add, once you find the teams and work out which one you want, you can add members to that team. The default number of access team templates for each entity is 2. You can have more than one access team template. The number of access team templates you can have for each entity is controlled by the max auto-created access team per entity deployment setting. And there's also max entities enabled for auto-created access teams has a default of 5. And you can change those. A system generated access team isn't created for each record until you add a user to the subgrid on the entity. So that's interesting. So you might have the subgrid there, but until you actually add a user to it, the access team will not be created also. If you change access rights to the team template, this will only change the access rights to new records, access teams. Any previous records which have had the access team template applied to it will be the previous records. So that can lead to a little bit of confusion, so you have to be careful about that. If the access team share access ticks, it means that users in the access team will then be able to share or add users to the subgrid for that record as well. So whether you want that or not, users cannot grant privileges they do not have. So a user can only add new members to an access team where the access team template has create privilege. Access teams are created automatically when you add a subgrid, and you can see them by setting that to do an advanced find of that set to true. If you want to delete an access team template, you need to go in and remove all the subgrids that the specific access team before you can delete it. Right, owner team. So this is just a little link really. Owner teams in Microsoft can have security roles. Teams can own records. Privileges are granted by security roles and change dynamically. I don't know what that means. So owner teams can have records assigned to them. They can have security roles. Access teams do not have security roles. They cannot own records, and all they can access records really through sharing. So they are quite different.